Hello guys. What I'm going to talk about the go to Google Maps. Right. Also, it's like so right now I'm looking at the crowds. And also subscribe my YouTube channel. Right now I'm just um
Hey, I'm Jim Weber in the Fox 13 Weather Center, and thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So we have made it. We're here at the last day of the hurricane season, November 30th, and boy, what a busy season.
I'm trying to find.
Even the best contingency plan can fail. The biggest hurricane can wipe that plan out. It can wipe out the power grid. It can wipe out your stockpile of medicines. The only way to ensure that they're going to get what they need is to have it there before the hurricane hits. The Hurricane Preparedness Program is the biggest emergency prep program Direct Relief runs. When a disaster hits, community health centers are the places where people are going to go for care. You put in a series of interventions from backup power to backup reliable communications to a stockpile of medications, access to mobile medical units and off-road vehicles to get to patients who might be stranded. You can start to put in place the things you need that hopefully no matter how big the hurricane is, they're going to be able to stay open. The Hurricane Preparedness Pack was initially built by the health centers themselves who told us this is what we wished we had had in place when this hurricane hit. It's the 200 most essential items that any health center would need to treat their patients in a time of crisis. Unlike other natural disasters, hurricanes are predictable in the sense that there's a season and there's a geography where they hit. Direct Relief has mapped out the last 50 years of Category 4 and 5 hurricanes to see where they make landfall. We've now strategically positioned these hurricane modules along the Gulf Coast and the eastern seaboard and internationally. Direct Relief has invested in hurricane preparedness and resiliency efforts so that the next time a hurricane hits, we can ensure these clinics will be self-sustaining so that they can do what they do best, which is treating these patients and giving them access to the medicines and the care that they need.
This storm is really, really bad, man. People in the coast got really hammered, man, you know? And they have nothing. So you guys really, really, really need to bring some heavy help down here. People need everything. Just about everything. Because they had nothing to start with. They had nothing to start with. They need everything. Everything, man, everything.
When you look at a map of Haiti, there's in the west there's a tip, a peninsula that sticks out, and that's where the hurricane came up from the south. And when the eye of the storm went approximately through Leon Glay, which is near the end of the tip. So these are the hardest hit areas. So FedEx donated a whole cargo plane for us to fly our stuff down in, which is absolutely amazing. It enables us to do what we're doing.
So in these tubs we have our antibiotics, doxycycline. This is what's used to treat cholera. We have enough for 60,000 people with cholera in these tubs. Basic first aid, stuff to keep yourself clean. It's things we take for granted, but if you're living in a tent or living in a shelter, this will change how you're feeling about your situation.
And once we decide where we're going to distribute the stuff, then we work it out from there. So the area from right on the end of the tip through to about a place called Port of Piment is still completely cut off by road, and that's why they're utilising the Dutch naval vessel to land humanitarian materials on the shore. In this sort of situation where we're coming ashore to an area that's potentially hasn't had any or much aid since the hurricane, which is we're getting up to about a week now. There's high levels of desperation. So in this specific context, I guess today we're going a little bit in the unknown.
Shut down roads, it'll shut down the ability to...
Today it worked excellent.
The preparedness packs that Direct Relief assembles each year in the past 11 years are pre-positioned throughout the season along the southern part of the United States, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, the eastern seaboard, and then in the Latin America and Caribbean region as well.
Following a storm, there's going to be a lot of considerations to take into account. By far, floodwaters and standing waters are going to be the biggest contribute to injury, illness, and death following a storm than the wind during a storm. The biggest injury that we see spike following a storm in the emergency department has to do with injuries related to storm cleanup and exploration after the storm. These include lacerations, puncture injuries, falls, and particularly chainsaw injuries. And you can prevent the bulk majority of that by dressing and protecting yourself appropriately. This also includes long-sleeve shirts, thick leather work gloves if you're going to be working and picking up and cleaning debris, as well as insect repellent because you're going to be exposed to a lot of mosquitoes and other insects that are going to be equally displaced by the storm. So with a little bit of preparation and planning before a storm, making adequate checklists, and making sure that your essentials and medical needs are considered, you will be able to keep both yourself and your family members safe throughout the entire storm.
When the waves swell, the wind blows, and rain starts to pour, you'll ask yourself, how prepared or unprepared are you? Did you board your windows, protect your home? Secure loose objects so they won't blow away. Bring large items in and low items up. If you're properly prepared, it will help in a big way. Does your family have a plan? Do they know what to do? Is your emergency kit packed, waiting by the door for you? Just because you're not on the coast doesn't mean you're okay. Heavy winds and flooding can wash things away. When a hurricane is near, you need to stay safe. Turn on the radio. Wait for updates. Only leave your home if told so. Grab your bag and go, go, go. Now, if you're home and the heavy wind blows, get away from the windows, watch out for flooding, and protect yourself. You may be without power for a couple days, but your emergency kit should help you to stay. Once the storm is gone and it's safe to go home, be cautious of what's going on. If water's in your path, you have to turn back. Dangerous electricity and things you can't see.
Do you remember huddling under the covers during a storm when you were a child? Tropical storms and hurricanes can be especially scary for children. Here are 5 tips for keeping children safe during hurricane season. At the first mention of a hurricane watch, be prepared. Have several days of food and water for each family member. Locate flashlights, radios, and batteries. Tape or board up your windows, and know the best evacuation route if you live in a flood area. Pack a go bag for your family so that if you need to evacuate quickly, you'll be ready. In it, pack clothes, medication, and other kids' necessities. Don't forget your child's comfort item, a stuffed animal or a favorite blanket. Tell children what to expect during a hurricane: wind, rain, hail, thunder. Remind them that they must stay indoors with the windows closed. Let them know that the power may go out and you may need to evacuate. Evacuate when told by local authorities or if you feel unsafe. Avoid flooded roads and watch for washed out bridges and road closures. Visit our website to create in case of emergency cards and for more tips on how to keep kids safe during a hurricane. Save the Children is committed to keeping children safe here in the United States and around the world.
All right, Don, thanks very much. Not the best conditions at the beach right now, and things are going to be getting worse as we go through the day, but hopefully by tomorrow, the system's going to be out of here. Danielle O'Reilly is a paramedic, EMS, New Hanover Regional Medical Center. And Danielle, the word that we've been telling everybody this morning, don't go into the water. Even though we see some surfers already in there, it's advised just do not venture into the water and let the system get out of here first.
That's right. The lifeguards in all beaches in New Hanover County are overstaffing to ensure that no one gets in the water. They have cautionary red flags up all over the beach to make people aware that it's dangerous conditions. But in case anyone does decide to go in, they are there to help.
Just in case.
Just in case.
And hopefully we won't have any kind of damage or anything, even though we might get some ocean overwash and stuff on.
Hey, Moto friends, Dodge Rider here. Just want to give you guys a quick update. Hurricane Florence is on its way into Raleigh, and yes, I actually am staying safe and being safe. I'm going to be staying in town. I have been planning a meetup this weekend with some people. Totally not going to happen now. I've called that off, staying here, take care of family obligations, stuff like that. I just want to say,
You and your team need to get things done. With Monday.
Tyler, I hope you're doing well. Listen, 2017 hurricane season was pretty awful. I think we can all agree on that. Had Hurricane Maria and Irma and Harvey, and FEMA's website says it was like 8% of the U.S. population was impacted by one of the hurricanes last year. So I just wanted to go over a few things to help better prepare for this upcoming hurricane season, so we don't have to do the mad rush to the grocery store to get water and all that kind of stuff. So things to think about right now to prepare for this upcoming hurricane season. The first thing I want to touch on is insurance. Now, I'm not an insurance agent, or I'm not an expert in insurance, but for sure, check your insurance policy. Know what your deductible is. Some insurance policies have different deductible rates for a named storm versus a non-named storm. Things like what's covered under your policy. If stuff isn't covered under your policy that you want, get that insured. Stuff like, valuables like cameras and jewelry and yada, yada, yada. Just understand what's covered under your current policy. Flood insurance is another thing. Flood insurance actually isn't covered under most policies. At least in South Carolina, we had to get a separate policy for flood insurance. Now, we are in a flood zone where we live, but if you're not in a flood zone, you can still get flood insurance. Now, the second thing I'm going to touch on is supplies. I'm not going to do an exhaustive list of supplies. There are lots of checklists out there for hurricane preparedness, and I'll try to find some and leave some in the links below. But a few things that are the big ones. Water, have 2 gallons at least per person per day. For a lot of places recommend 3 to 5 days supply of that. Same with food, 3 to 5 days supply per person. Obviously, you want to have some kind of weather radio or two-way radio that has weather station on it. That way you can keep in sync with what the weather's doing and what storms are moving. So those are always good to have. Backup batteries for your cell phones, those little power banks, stuff like that to keep your devices charged. It's always a good idea to have cash on hand. Power goes out, the ATM machines are down, credit card machines, stuff like that. They're not going to be able to process credit cards without power. So good idea to have some cash on hand in case you need to go out and pick up some supplies in a pinch. And if the stores are open but no power, they'll usually take cash. Another good idea is to have a first aid kit. Now, I'm not going to go through a list of what to have in your first aid kit. There are a ton of videos out there on YouTube and tons of resources to build an effective first aid kit, but definitely have one of those on hand. Flashlights, that's another big one. When the power goes out, if it does, you want to be able to see, so not a bad idea to have flashlights and extra batteries. The last thing I'm going to touch on in supplies is some kind of backup power solution. I have a little battery bank generator, and I can hook a solar panel to it so it'll charge from the sun when it dies. Gas generators, those are obviously really popular. Make sure you have gas and spark plugs and oil and everything to make your generator run efficiently. Also, not a bad idea to have extra gas cans or diesel cans for your vehicles. If the power does go out and gas stations are down, you probably won't be able to pump fuel. So it's a good idea to just have a couple extra cans on hand just to make sure that you're good to go for, a week or two. Number 3 is a communication plan. It's a good idea to have, important contacts written down on a piece of paper, their email addresses and cell phone numbers and landline numbers if they still have one. And also, if your work has a hotline number to call into to see if your work's been shut down, or if it has, when it will reopen, it's a good idea to have that. Also, be in contact with neighbors and family and friends. That way, you can communicate, hey, I'm going to be out of town, or, hey, I'm going to stay in town. I'm not going to evacuate. Okay, the next thing is an evacuation plan. Obviously, you want to know the evacuation routes in your area. That when an evacuation order is placed, if they're going to reverse lanes on an interstate, for example. The other thing with evacuation plans, a lot of hotels that are just outside of the expected impact zone of a hurricane, a lot of those book up really fast around a hurricane. So have other plans in place. Don't just rely on, I'm just going to get a hotel room really quick if a storm comes. Also, not all hotels are pet friendly, so make sure that you can have accommodations for your pets as well. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is before the storm. Say the storm is still out in the ocean, but there is a storm out there. Go ahead and, cut down any dead limbs or anything like that off a tree. Obviously, your patio furniture or grill or anything like that you have outside, pull that inside. Now, obviously, you're going to want to board up your windows, or if you have storm shutters, just pull those in. However you do to protect your windows, make sure that that's good to go. Take pictures of your house that's been boarded up. That way, after the storm, and you need to file a claim or anything like that with insurance, you can prove to insurance that, you did take the necessary measures to protect your house from the wind, windows, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's decide you stay during the hurricane. A lot of people do it. I've done it myself and did it actually the last few storms. We stayed. We were fine. I'm not recommending one way or the other. That's up to you, and that's your decision completely. If you do stay, don't drive during the storm. A lot of times, local municipalities will put a curfew on. Don't drive after the curfew. There's already first responders out there. Don't put them in danger because you decided that you want to make a quick run to wherever in the middle of the night during the storm. The other thing is just make sure, like I said, have your kit organized, your supplies. So if it's dark and, you lose power, if your windows are boarded up and it's daytime and your power goes out, you still won't be able to see. At least we use plywood on our windows. Power goes out, we can't see a thing. So good idea to just have your kit organized so go into the pantry and it's dark, you can grab your water, your food, whatever, and you'll be able to see. Obviously if you have flashlights, that
Hi, I'm Alex Schultz.
And I'm Andrew Cooper.
In 2015, we took a surf trip to Bali, Indonesia, and saw firsthand just how bad the world's plastic pollution crisis really is.
Folks, I got a viewer that asked me to make a video on what to do to prepare for a hurricane. Well, living here in Florida, I have been through many hurricanes, and I stay prepared. It's not something that I do at the last minute. I just live prepared for one. So let me show you one of the things I do is hoard food. That's the first thing, is hoard food and water. Okay? Buy stuff that, these are Rice Krispie treats. You can eat Rice Krispie treats. They don't have to be cooked. They don't have to be frozen. They don't have to be refrigerated. Hoard stuff. Potato chips. Here's potato chips. Stuff, stuff like that. Hoard stuff. There's four sodas, 4 Sprites. There's 7-Up, Sprite down there. I got 4 cases of water right here. There's a ton of 7-Ups down there, or Sprites. in here is loads of canned foods. More Sprite, as you can see down here in the corner. Moving right on around. Now, this is just an example of stocking up on canned goods. Okay, there's none over there. Okay, stuff that you don't have to cook. Stuff you can eat cold. Soup, fruit cocktail, beans, corned beef hash, and lots of puddings. Food. Some of these things have to be prepared, but that's okay because I have a propane grill. Okay, now look at all these soups, all these canned goods. You want to stock up on canned goods. Things that are non-perishable. Soups, pickles, just whatever. Anything, stock up. Stock up on foods. You're going to need food. You're going to need enough food for about 3 days at the least. Peanuts are a great form of
Everyone who has a small business needs Grasshopper. The setup is so easy. I was up and running in less than 5 minutes.
New Triscuit Wheatberry Clusters, a bite-sized crunch with plant-based fuel. Try them now.
First is the utility, which we are likely to lose during a storm. We have solar, which will be weak during a storm because it'll be cloudy and rainy, but they will provide some power. And then we have the batteries. We have a 720 amp hour battery bank that we can power our house for probably a day or two, depending on how much you run. We could probably stretch that out to 3 or 4 days if we're careful. And then if all else fails, we go to a generator for backup. And we can use the generator to charge the batteries too, so that all goes pretty good. All right, so for water, we've got a well. And as long as we have power, and remember there's 4 ways we can get power, so as long as we have power and a well, we can pump like 35,000 gallons a day. But if we were to lose our well for some reason, maybe a tree fell on it or something like that, then the backup is we have a pool with 35,000 gallons of water in it. You could use that to flush toilets. You could use it to, basically bathe. You can swim in it and get fairly clean. But you can't drink it. So we're going to need some bottled water. We have some bottled water, but I'm going to pick up maybe another 5-10 gallons of spring water just in case as a backup plan. Okay, for food, we've got a whole bunch of canned food on this rotator shelf thing that I built a few months ago. So we got probably maybe 500, 600 cans of food on here. It'll hold over 1,000 cans. It's pretty cool. We've got some bunch of canned food from the garden that we grew ourselves here, probably maybe 400 pounds of potatoes. And, a bunch of other stuff that we're stocked up on, like cereals and just random stuff. This is stuff that we rotate through on a regular basis. And we have a freezer. We have a large freezer. We keep food prep in here, like hamburgers. We make them up ahead of time, put the onions in there, get them all set to go. So they just pull them out, throw them on the grill. We got some other food prepped up in here, ready to make chili and spaghetti, and got pizzas in here. And looks like we could live on our, what do you call those things? Cut. Okay, so that's it for the food. And now for fuel, I'm going to fill up all the cars with gas probably tomorrow or so, a few days ahead of time. And then we have about 25 gallons of gas in cans and 15 gallons of diesel. I need to fill up all these cans, and we have 6 of the propane tanks, so I'll get those. I think 4 of them are already full. So I'll get the other 2 filled up, just get them topped off. And I got a first aid kit, going to go around the yard and secure all the loose items. I don't want anything blowing around. Maybe trim some of the trees back and then get rid of all the brush. Got to check our flashlights, make sure the batteries are charged. Check our radios. We have a few different sets of radios. Let's see here. And then another good idea is to get your chores done. Like, you don't want to have all the power go out and everything and you don't have any clean laundry and the dishes are all dirty. So it's just good to get all that stuff squared away ahead of time. We'll park the cars out away from the trees. I got one air conditioner that can run off the solar little wall unit. I don't like running the big air conditioners on the solar. We probably could, but it wouldn't be such a great idea. But they can run these little wall units, so that'll keep like 1 or 2 rooms cool. I've got one set up now. I'm getting another one coming in a couple of days. And then I want to just make sure that like my chainsaw is in good shape for cleanup after the storm. So we'll get that started up, make sure it's good, and then probably pick up a couple of tarps in case we lose some shingles. You know, if the hurricane actually comes right through here, it could tear part of our shingles off or something, maybe even a couple of sheets of plywood in case a window gets broken. We can cover it up. So here's my shopping list. We got gas and diesel, get some tarps, plywood, fill the propane tanks, do some food shopping, and then we'll be set. So right now it looks like we're about a week out from it hitting, and we'll just keep an eye on it, and the closer it gets, the more preparation we'll do. That's it. Thanks for watching.
Having Grasshopper and getting a business line has been immensely helpful. It's like having my office phone anywhere I'm at.
I've been asked how I am finding water when I dig a well. It's pretty simple what I use. Many people disagree with it, say it doesn't work. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm just telling you what I use and what works for me. And again, this is only for shallow wells. Something, let's say, no deeper than 30 feet. And my secret weapon is coat hangers, dowsing rods. And what I use to make these work correctly, so I don't have to wonder if my thumb or fingers are helping or that it's rotating correctly, drinking straws. Take a drinking straw, cut it in half, slide it over in, slide it over, and I don't let
Hi guys, how y'all doing?